Hi, I'm Roland, and this is Practical Intersectionality, and it's based off a full workshop, Improving Diversity and Inclusion in Senior Leadership. And this presentation explains the underlying principles that have helped other communities. In this case, it's the Research Software Engineering Australia New Zealand community, and helping them with their diversity in their steering committee. The feedback that I've gotten with these underlying principles is that they're enormously helpful because it allows people to understand what concrete actions they can do. And to understand that, you really need to have an understanding of systemic imbalance in the system that is biased against people from marginalized groups. And we cannot fix this imbalance by treating people equally. And here's a really good example in this cartoon. Look, if I can get myself up here, why can't you, is what the person is saying after they've received help from the other person. And the other way I explain that is, if a system is biased, you need to make an equal and opposite adjustment for that bias. In the case of a car that drifts to the right, to keep the steering wheel neutral, will move across to the right. That's why neutral sides with depression. You need to move your steering wheel to the left to adjust for that steering wheel, for that car having a bias to the right. And discrimination in those systems results in a lack of opportunities. And here's an example of two people who have the same distance to cover in the race, but the degree of difficulty for each of those people is very, very different. And this discrimination over time, these lack of opportunities over time reduces employability. And that's why the key is to give people from marginalized groups more opportunities to make up for ones they've lost. So Ella Fitzgerald never had to play a small jazz club again because she got given the opportunity by Marilyn Monroe. And intersectionality increases the degree of difficulty. And I define that as belonging to more than one marginalized group. It just means that you have more areas that can open you up for attack. So when you start to think about intersectionality and these degrees of difficulty, you end up with something like this intersectionality spectrum, where people who belong to more marginalized groups have a higher degree of difficulty, which is the y-axis. And we should be triaging to help those who need it most, similar to a hospital setting. So over on the right here is the people we should be helping the most. But in most cases, especially when you're looking at something like gender equity, it's only helping people around this side of the intersectionality spectrum. So I wrote a capability maturity model where I talk about how can individuals and organizations help. Most systems are in the CMM level 2, which is neutral. And I'm going to show you some ideas of how you can go up to level 3 and level 4. So how can you help as an individual? You can center people who are marginalized in your social media, and you can encourage people from marginalized groups to do things that you might have taken up yourself. And there's 13 tips to review in the appendix of this presentation. How can you help as an organization? Well, there are 30 tips to review in the appendix. 2 of those is, one is to aim for a 50% target of people from marginalized groups on the selection committee, and to redefine merit. So I'd really like to thank the people who have helped me on this journey. But the first thing I'd like you to do is to jump onto Twitter and have a look at this list and start to choose and follow some of the people on this list to help you widen your perspective of what's actually happening in the world. And that's the very first thing that needs to be done. Thank you.